Hey y'all, wanted to do another little life update video because it's been about a month since my last one. So I'm trying to do these on a regular basis, and this one will be specifically about my writing, I think. First, let's talk about my history of writing. I mentioned it a little bit in the past, but I started writing when I was in fifth grade because it was an assignment. So I got assigned to write a book. It was like the end of the year project in fifth grade, and it was supposed to just let us be creative and have fun and just like kind of fuck around until school was over. But I took it very seriously. So I came up with the idea of Tyrone Into the Gorge. It was very inspired, obviously, by the books I was reading at the time, like Percy Jackson and Harry Potter, of like this chosen child, I guess, because there's always like a fucking 10-year-old. Um, like, and some like mysterious prophecy. Like, that was the broad strokes that I wanted to do. But I also really liked the idea of the prophecy not really being anything. Like, I knew that I wanted it to be some sort of prophecy based thing, but I didn't want to make it like in Percy Jackson it's like, oh, he's a half-blood. In Harry Potter it's like, oh, he's a wizard. It's like, but for my book I wanted it to be just sort of like we really have no fucking idea why this guy in particular was being targeted. Don't know, and it really doesn't matter. Like, because the truth is, it doesn't fucking matter. If you got randomly fucking selected and like in somebody's mind you're viewed as like the cause of a problem, they're gonna come after you. They're gonna come see the underlying. They're gonna come after you regardless of if it's true or if it makes sense, because it's already been decided. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, right? There's layers to this. Now, did I think about that when I was in fifth grade? No. I just didn't have a reason and I didn't care. But now it's got layers, you see? I feel like that's a lot of how my writing goes. I write something and then post-production, I'm like, yeah, this is what that means. That's why I wrote that way. And it's like, that's not actually why I wrote it. I just wrote it and then came up with the reason after. But it's usually a pretty good reason. So I just keep it basic, broad strokes of the plot. This kid named Tyrone, he gets, selected as the heart of this prophecy for this alien race. There's an alien race of snake-like people, and they, for whatever reason, believe that the only person who can stop the colonization of Earth by these people or the snake people, is him. We don't know why, and we never will, because I don't know, and I made it. So they come down, and they're like, we're gonna kill him before we even start. Like, we'll just get him out the way. Which then, it's also explores the self-fulfilling prophecy aspect of like, if you didn't tell him, he probably wouldn't have given a fuck. Like, he probably would have died when you colonized the planet. Like, if you didn't single-handedly take him to your ship and everything, like, he wouldn't have fought so hard to kill you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's the layers, right? That fifth grade mentality. My fifth grade Sheldon brain was like building up these layers. No. Obviously, again, post-production planning. They take Tyrone. Well, first they try to attack him on the planet, and then they end up kidnapping one of his friends, and he's like, we gotta go save her. So him and his best friend go and save their third friend, because they're a trio, because obviously all fucking YA novels have to have a trio. It's just like fundamental. So then it's just, the process of them getting onto the ship, saving their friend, getting off the ship. They don't even want to kill the main guy. They're like, we're just trying to survive. And then eventually, spoiler alert, they fucking do. And again, it leads into that self-fulfilling prophecy of would the main leader die if he hadn't kidnapped them? Like, he probably wouldn't have. I don't know. So yeah, that basic story started in fifth grade. I wrote it pretty heavily. Didn't finish, obviously, because I was ready to write a full fucking novel, and most people were writing like 3 pages. But I was ready to write a whole fucking novel, and I didn't finish, so I didn't turn it in. But I don't think she really cared, to be honest. Again, it was like a whatever assignment. So then I kind of forgot about it because I was moving into middle school, and that's hell. Yeah, I was busy with other things, so kind of forgot about it. Then I picked it up in late middle school, but didn't really take it seriously until high school. And it wasn't even that I was taking it seriously, it was just like I realized this is really fun and I'm having a really good time fleshing this story out and like building those layers that I didn't have before because I was in fifth grade and didn't know what I was doing. And I certainly didn't know what I was doing in high school either because I'm gonna be so real with you guys, it's not that good. It's not bad, but it's not good either, right? I could write it better now if I wrote it now. Because there was a lot of stuff that I felt tied to because it was like this nostalgia of like, oh, well, I started it in fifth grade, so I don't want to change too much. And like, now it's like, okay, yeah, that wasn't the best thing that I've ever written or thought about because I was a child. I released the first book. Um, Not many people read it, which is fine. I wasn't expecting to. And it wasn't like I wasn't promoting it. I wasn't doing the most. I didn't even publish it. I just released it on my Patreon for free. Released the book. My parents read it. Then I just went into the next one. I was already writing the next one. I knew where I wanted to go from there because I've always liked the idea of what happens after the event. Like what happens after the crazy event. Because like again, most of the time these kids are pretty young. So it's in their developmental years and it's obviously going to affect the way that they continue to develop. Because in my book, they're 16, 17, around there, I think. Which is a very key part of your life where you really figure out what's going on. Like those, like 17 to like 19. I would say like 17 to 19 were like the fundamental years of my life where I was like figuring my shit out. Maybe 22. You know what I'm saying? That like gap, like the transition from teenager to adulthood is massive. So for something crazy like that to happen, something that you can't even really talk about. Like you can't tell people, oh, I got abducted by aliens when I was 17 because you're going to the loony bin, right? Oh, I saved the world from getting abducted by aliens. Right. To the shore. The second book, Aftermath, focuses on the trio really only having each other, and just sort of how they all separately cope with the same problem and how lack of communication can really fuck shit up, right? Because talking about your problems is really important, guys. If there's one thing you can take away from Aftermath, it's talking about your problems is really important. The second thing is don't fucking do drugs. And then the second book I never really released because it was like, at that point, nobody even read the first one. So for them to read the second one, it's like even slimmer of a chance. And you don't really need to know the first one to know the second one. The second one, Aftermath was a huge project. Aftermath was originally 735 pages, and I cut it down to 500, which is still massive, unfortunately. The first one is like 3 something, which is not crazy, but Aftermath I had a lot to say because there was a lot of drama. It eventually devolved into Euphoria, I'm not gonna lie. It's very like drama, like crazy shit that's like what is happening, but again, it's like trauma begets more trauma. So it's like, yeah, shit's gonna get fucked. And it's not about the aliens anymore. The aliens did their damage. And now it's all up here. The struggle's all up here. There is no external force anymore. It's all this. Because that's what it is, bro. That's what life is. Something happens. Something's not gonna keep happening. Sometimes it does, and that's tough. But most of the time, it's everything after in here. You can't move on from this. Because this is permanent, right? being on the ship, that was a moment. That was a 3 day experience. This is forever. So, and again, they're 18, 17. So tough time. And then, it goes into like their family dynamic and their dynamic and everything. Anyway, then there is a third book, and that one I'm working on, but like sort of on the side because there's a time gap, and it focuses mainly on the main character of the second book. So the three main characters of the first book is Tyrone, who's the main character. Then there's Matt, his best friend, and Cassidy, their third friend. Because Matt and Tyrone grew up together. And then Cassidy was Ty's friend, and then they all became a friend group, right? The second book sort of transitions into more focused on Matt because Matt was my favorite character. I really loved writing for Matt, and that's obvious because it becomes very focused on him, but also he is the most unstable of the group. So even though the attack wasn't targeted on him, it impacted him the most. So he has the worst outcome because he also doesn't have great coping mechanisms to begin with. So when you throw something crazy and heavy, he's just going to lean more into unhealthy coping mechanisms, drugs and alcohol, and other people. Anyway, I don't even know if I'm spoiling shit. I don't know what I'm going to put in this. I just want to turn the camera on for these, and then who knows. First book's about Tyrone. It transitions into more about Matt, but also how Matt's mental collapse affects everybody else in his life. Because to him, he's like, I'm going to keep this shit to myself and I'm going to implode. But when you kind of implode, it kind of takes everybody else who's in your circle with you because they're like, well, now we have to make sure that you're okay, but because we care, but it's like you're doing a lot. So then the third book is, again, sort of like a time jump, but it's sort of like a reflective piece of how he reconciles, I guess, with the damage that he's done, thinking that he was doing what was best for everybody. And then that sort of goes into the idea of redemption and how far you can cross a line and how long it takes and how much it requires for you to be forgiven. And this is all crazy, like heavy shit for like something that I started in 5th grade. But I like to explore things like that in my books. Yeah, Revival is the third one, and it is being worked on, but because it's a time gap and because I've written for them for so long, I think I'm ready to move on to something else. So I don't really write for it as much, but I know what I want to do and I know where it goes and I know where it ends. So, I feel like that'll come out whenever I feel like it should come out. Because the Tyrone series is sort of a write-off for me right now. I'm not gonna ever publish it, I don't think, because it is such a nostalgia piece for me and it's not the best, but I'm not gonna change it because it is what it is at the time, and it's like a mark of like my first writing piece, so it's really important to me in that sense. But I don't feel like it's good enough to be my first published work, or to even be paywalled, to be honest. So now we'll talk about my current project, Morte ad Mortis. So this idea came to me a while ago, and I've been waiting to write it because I wanted to write it in the location that it's written. Because when I read The Raven Cycle, I was torn up, absolutely obliterated when I found out that Henrietta, Virginia is not a real fucking place. Pissed me off. It pissed me off right bad. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Fuck, I'm gonna do my own way. Fuck it, I'm gonna do my own way. So I'm going to write my own little book about a real place that people can go visit. Now, that's also been a kind of a struggle because I don't want to like dox people or anything. And I'm not actually doxing anybody, but like, I don't want to talk shit about a place and then be like, the fuck? Because it's fucking fiction, right? At the end of the day. Like, yeah, the places are real, but like, the people who work there are fake. Everybody's fucking fake, right? Everything's fucking fake. It's fiction. Fuck. So the idea is that instead of just ghost hunting, it's sort of a ghost help desk or just all creatures. Like, I'm going to get into different cryptids and monsters and stuff like that. So instead of just going and being like, oh, there's a vampire, let's go kill it, they go and they talk to the vampire and they're like, hey, so what's going on? Hey, so is there anything we can help with? Like, can we set you up with the local blood drive? Can we find some animals, like a source for animals so you can get some blood? Like, what's the deal? And obviously, if they don't cooperate, they kill them, right? They gotta do it. But, they talk to the ghost and they're like, okay, what can we do to help you move on? Or if there's a cryptid somewhere causing problems, hey, let's relocate you so you don't cause problems for people, but you're still happy. They figure out something so that they can coexist. It's all about coexisting. And that's those layers. Take a shot every time I say layers. We've got a whole bunch of characters. I'm really excited for this group, guys. They make me really happy. I love their dynamic. And I'm going to have a whole breakdown video on them. So get ready for that. So the first book is going to center around the cemetery that I'm currently working on. Because that's why I asked the question about the cemetery, and then next thing you know, I'm learning a lot more than I thought I was going to, but it's good because it's helping me write. But they're going to have a little Halloween seance because one of the main characters, he traditionally has Halloween seances because he loves a little party. He loves to host. So every year he has a Halloween seance in a graveyard. So this year they do it at Blackjack, and it's the first time it ever actually works. And so he's like, okay, look, we know ghosts are real. We gotta do something. Let's make it move. Let's make shit move, right? So yeah, it's just the idea of accidentally finding out that ghosts are real and what will you do with it. Because it's not, not every ghost is necessarily bad. And, there's a lot of stories where there are other creatures that aren't necessarily bad. So again, it is that idea of like redemption and like who deserves saving. And I think it's important that communication is the forefront of everything, because understanding where someone else is coming from helps you understand why they're doing what they're doing and can help you fix whatever the issue is. So talk to people. Hypocrite alert. Right, so that's Morte. I'm really excited for it. I have so much shit planned for that. Like, it gets fucking crazy. If I told you how it ended, and from what you just heard, you would not believe me. But I'm gonna find a way to get there. Oh God, right here on the Bible, God can strike me down if I'm lying. I will get there. I will make it work. But I'm really excited to get that started. I'm already 30 pages in to the first book. So I want the book to be case by case basis. So it's going to be a series sort of like Goosebumps or like Scooby-Doo, where it's like every book is its own thing. So there's going to be multiple books. It's going to be a very long series, but hopefully it'll stop me from writing a 500-page book, because that was crazy. By keeping it condensed and like, this is one story, this is one arc, we wrap that up, we move on to the next one. And there is, obviously the overarching storyline and like how the characters interact and how they all develop and grow together and apart and everything, all that good stuff. But, it'll keep me from rambling on too much about one thing. And I also want to just touch on my other ideas, because I think it's really important to get your ideas out there, because they can always inspire somebody else, or just like Because just write, bro. Like, on God, just write. Like, or anything. If you have a creative idea, just do it. It can turn out shit, bro. I told you my first book is ass. Y'all can go see it yourself how ass it is. And I'm not ashamed. I'm a little ashamed, but you can see it anyway. And like, that's the mentality you have to have. So, another huge project that I can't wait to work on is Son of Balazar. That's my high fantasy novel. Son of Balazar is going to be a lot of work because I really, really want to dive into fantasy politics. I love fictional politics. I like real politics too. And I think that's why I like fictional politics, because it's the same thing, just like without the pressure of like, we're all going to die, right? But I love Dune. I love the complexity of Dune. I love Dune so much that I got drunk at a party once and fully explained the plot of Dune drunk to a room full of people. And if I can do that shit drunk, who knows what I'm going to cook up when I'm sober, right? I mean, Game of Thrones is also really big for that. So I really want to do something like that where I really get into complex politics in a fantasy setting to hopefully inspire people to care more about real politics, because there's so much you can learn from fantasy or just fiction in general, because, you know, life imitates art, art imitates life. So it's really important to be mindful. And if you can understand the complexities of House Atreides and House Harkonnen and the Fremen, you can understand a little something going on around you, right? Maybe open your peepers and look around. Ain't no sandworm, but there's something far worse. Bigotry. Yeah, so really excited for that one. That one I'm building a magic system, a language, and multiple kingdoms. So it's taking me a really long time. I wanted it to be my debut, but it's taking so long because I don't want to rush it. I want it to be really good. I want that Duolingo language, bitch. I want that Duolingo language so bad. I want that fucking owl to be my bitch. Then, you know, I have some other side projects. I have Drifter, which is sort of a supernatural, like, small town religion story about the manipulation of religion and faith to get personal gain. Clock that. Relevance. So really excited for that one. Then I also have Playing House, which is just gay people, to be honest. But it's, again, I have a really big affinity for small towns, but it's about living in the country as a queer person and sort of keeping it as like a secret, or as like not as serious as it actually is, and how that affects development. I feel like I'm explaining these like they're essays. They're not. Like, they're gonna be fun, but Playing House isn't fun. But yeah, so that's gonna be my tragic fucking yaoi story. Yaoi in Southern America, right? And then I have Becoming God, which I'm really, it's such, bro, I have so much shit that I want to do so bad, but like I just can't fucking write it all the time. Okay, y'all remember that audio from way back, like throwback, that was like, do you want to become a cult leader? Since the death of God, there's been a vacancy open.
Don't you want to become a cult leader? Since the death of God, there's been a vacancy open. You could fill that void. Here's how.
I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I loved that audio. I was obsessed with it. I thought that ate. So I basically wrote a whole story off of that. And Drifter is actually based on the song Hell's Coming With Me. I heard that song for the first time and I said, oh, wrote that shit down. So again, just where inspiration can strike, like you gotta be ready and get that shit down. Like, I just told you like 4 fucking projects. I'm not gonna work on all of them at the same time, but I still have them ready, locked and fucking loaded. I'm ready. And I got all the Pinterest boards, girl. Got all the Pinterest boards. Because you don't need the words, you just need the vibes, and you need to know where you're going. Get the layout, get the vibe, and that's all you need. Anyway, Becoming God is basically what if you were selected to be the next god? That's it. And then for a while I was writing poetry. I don't really do it anymore. Something happened where I started taking poetry less seriously. I really can't read poetry anymore for some reason. It all just seems like hurt it. I really don't know why. I used to really love poetry and I wish I could get back into it. So if you have good poetry book recommendations that could get me back into it, let me know. I mean, like, I don't have that whole section. That whole section right there is all poetry books, and I haven't read all of them. So I don't know why the fuck I'm asking for more, but I just need to get back into it. But I used to write poetry, and I was going to release a poetry book too, but it's just so awkward because, like I said, it all feels really cringe now to me for some reason. And it's not, like, and it is, okay, poetry is low-key cringe, but, like, that's the point. Sometimes it can be cringe and real at the same time, and that's okay. That's what poetry is. Anyway, not really sure what all the fuck I said, but broad strokes is believe in yourself. And if you have an idea, just run with it. Just go with it. Just have fun, bruh. Being creative is supposed to be fun. And if you don't have time to write it right now, put it in your back pocket. You can come back 7 years later. It happens. Life happens, man. And you'll come back better than ever. Right? Like, doesn't matter. And you know what? Maybe 11 years later, you'll realize that's what you wanted to do the whole time. So pick up that freaking paintbrush, pick up that pen, open that Google Doc, get that freaking crochet hook, I don't know, get that sewing needle, and just start making shit. We need it now more than ever. Escapism through art. That's the fucking shit I'm talking about. Let's fucking go. Anyway, read my fucking book, I guess. What's it called? James.